Hello. My name is NicholassRivas. I talk about politics and stuff. And today we're going to be talking about Ariel Helwani versus Dana White and Paddy Pimblett. So, Paddy Pimblett, great fighter, one of my favorites right now, is on his podcast with Dana White, the CEO or CFO, co-CFO of UFC, one of my favorite fighting promotions. Big fan of these guys, even though I have a lot of critiques of Dana White. I like him. And so he is with Paddy, and they're talking about the pay, the critique of fighter pay. People say that the UFC pays fighters pretty low for how much they make. Now, I understand there's nuance. I understand also sports are sports. Athletes make crazy amounts of money when they're doing good, and when they're not, they're not. But it seems like the common critique is, you have places like football or basketball, and even the least popular players are still getting paid big money. Granted, those sports are huge, right? Is UFC at that level? I don't think so. But then there's also cases of back in the day you had sponsorship. That's been taken away. So fighters can't even supplement that lack of pay with other means. So there's some critiques of the pay system. Do fighters deserve more? It's a pretty complex question, because I don't know how much it takes to run a UFC event and keep the lights on, right? So I don't know. But one of the people who is critical of the fighter pay is Ariel Helwani, a podcaster, journalist, content creator, however you want to call him. He's been doing the UFC since 2006, I believe. He's always just been a commentator. He's always been a guy within the zeitgeist of UFC, kind of way before anybody, really. I mean, he's definitely not the OG back in like the first Zuffa day ever, which was the original promotion's name. Or it wasn't Zuffa, but it was, owned by Zuffa. I think still owned by Zuffa. Whatever. The the days of Ariel, though, came in like 2006, 2007. So he's been in there it's a good amount of time now. And he's been critical. He's always fought with Dana. They even banned him at one point, I think, for leaking news stories. So basically, Ariel was the talk of the town for Dana and Paddy, and they just went into him. They said, Ariel, who the hell are you to ask for fighter pay when, for one, fighter pay is what you make of it, Paddy said. And Dana agreed. You can make really good money, and we're here for exposure. And, you have 1 million followers because of the UFC's, spotlight on you. And then second is Ariel doesn't pay his guests. So who the fuck is he to talk about pay? Right? You make pretty good money, I assume, Ariel. You can afford some money at interviewees. I'm doing 2 more right now, and I'm getting paid for it. So that was the critique. Ariel came back and basically just combated what he said, and it's been this back and forth. I'm on the side of Ariel here because I didn't know he didn't pay his people, like his guests. I don't know how that works, though. I didn't really think about pay. Like, I didn't think that any interviewees were getting paid, but I guess they are. I thought you're supposed to do it since you're at the UFC. They kind of just force you, and it's kind of lumped into your pay, I guess, your show up, But I don't agree that should be the case, and I don't think it is. I think you can take whatever the hell you want. If they want to pay you, they don't. Ariel's case is he doesn't pay people. Now, do I believe in exposure as payment? Not necessarily, but I understand it. It's like, hey, look, I get it. Having 1 million followers on Instagram who legitimately, like, people follow you because they love you, versus having like 2, but maybe a few $1,000 is cool and all, but that $1,000 runs out. The exposure will last for a longer time if you can capitalize it correctly. So it's definitely nuanced, and I don't want to shit on the exposure claim too much. It did make me kind of feel disgusted a little with Ariel, because I'm like, you can't pay your guests. But I'm like, hey, look, if the exposure thing is what other people are showing up for, maybe I'm in the wrong here. I wouldn't personally, but then again, I'm also like, well, I like Ariel, and I would show up to get my name out there. So I'm indifferent. I'm genuinely like split, I feel like, with the whole Ariel shit. But what I'm not split on is amongst Dana White and him as a boss paint people. That is a separate critique. That is a separate conversation. And for Paddy to conflate the two, him being paid off in guests and versus this millionaire boss of yours, That's just pathetic. That's just two separate sides of a different situation, and you are comparing them together like they are the same. It doesn't make sense to me. To see that was disappointing, to say the least. I like Paddy, but I felt like he was just kissing his boss's ass, and I kind of believe he believes in it. Like, I believe that he's like, I'm making good money. Why can't you guys? So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this whole situation when it comes to Paddy. It felt like I'm definitely not going to hate the guy. It's a critique I have, which I believe is a fair critique, but I still like him. I just look at him like, damn, you really are part of that, like, oh, we get paid enough, or you can make what you pay. And I've always heard this argument. I think, like, that's just, I can see what you mean, but it's not always there. Like, it's weird for a guy just to show up and make, what is it, 12K just for showing up? Like, that just feels weird. You have all these years and years of training, and I get it, it's the big times, right? Like NFL, in amongst players, they say it's not for long. That's what NFL stands for. All these sports and all these uh, athletes, most of them probably don't make a good living off of the sport. I feel like most of them don't even last within the sport. It's a very competitive world. For every McGregor, you probably have hundreds of thousands of fighters who maybe won one fight, maybe got a chance to perform in front of a big league that could put them in UFC, but they never make it. Even if they win, even if they lose, it's really just the luck of draw. So it's a big ask. I understand it. But I also believe that Dana White is a pretty conservative guy who wants no taxes on him. He's that type of guy, right? And so there's nothing wrong wanting no tax, but I don't see this guy being charitable in a sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see him being like, oh, I want to give people money. I can see this guy being a penny pincher where he's like, I want to save every dime I have. I'm going to fly to space. He's got that like buku billionaire money. I feel like where like you probably have like an island where you party with some people. Like, they're, you know what I mean? They're that kind of rich people. I'm not accusing them of anything bad. I'm just saying, like, they got different priorities. Like, they want their 30 yacht. So I can see in the same, and I can see clearly more so that Dana White is just a penny pitcher, and he doesn't want to waste his money. And I think by having the fighter pay so low, taking away their sponsors, it's purposeful. He has his finger around the game. These MMA fighters, what are they going to do? I mean, Ngannou's trying to become a boxer to get more money. And him and Data have been going back and forth trying to figure out what the hell to do with their contract and yada yada. So I definitely feel odd with Ariel's comments, but do I hate the guy? No. Paddy's comments, do I hate the guy? No. I'm indifferent with some of them, but what I do agree on is that Dana should be paying more, and this critique is just a fair critique, and they got really in their fifis with it. And he started claiming like you're making money off of fighters. It's so ironic. Yes, Paddy, he's a journalist. He makes money. If it means profiting on over athletes, it's because he's reporting on athletes. It's not like he's exploiting y'all. But I get that you feel a little slighted that you maybe want some of that cut when you go on these interviews. But at the end of the day, I don't see you chasing that paper when it comes to someone like Dana. So it's very telling, unfortunately. But what do I know? Just a young guy with no big monies in the bank. So, I'll leave it at that. Thank you all very much. And gabagool. Yabadoo.